Welcome back to HR Tech Unplugged, where we simplify, decode, and demystify the world of HR technology. I'm your host, Gurpreet Kaur, and with me is our resident HR Tech Sherpa, transformation leader, and my partner in digital crime, Anuj Katuria.
Thank you, Gurpreet. Always love how you introduce me, like I'm some kind of a superhuman.
Well, Anuj, today's topic might just be that Everest for a lot of organizations, crafting a future ready HR digitization strategy. And let's be honest, many companies jump into tech thinking it's a magic fix.
Wow. Well, I can't agree more with you. And believe me, I have seen it more times than I can possibly count. Organization rolls out a flashy new HR platform, or for that matter of fact, a new HR information system. And within 6 to 9 months' time, it becomes shelfware or a piece of furniture. I've seen organizations launching a learning platform, a talent platform, an engagement platform, and a performance platform all within a span of 6 to 8 months. What happens after a year? Nothing. People are not using it. They don't find any value in it. You know why? Because there was no strategy behind it. Let me give you a quick real story. Some time ago, a business giant approached me for advisory on HR technology. And I met their chief operating officer, I met their CHRO, and I met their chief technology officer. They were very proud of the new HRIS that they had launched in the system. It had a brilliant onboarding system, a very nice and impactful talent acquisition system, and for that matter of fact, social learning system as well. But it was not meeting up to what they expected that it would do. And when I dug deep in my conversations with them as to what exactly has happened, I was surprised to find out that they just bought the system and got it implemented for its features, advantages, and benefits. They had not mapped the actual end user journey. They were just trying to fix a broken and manual process, thinking that if they digitize something which is manual and automated, people will start using it and it will start to show its impact. Unfortunately, didn't happen.
That's good. So let's break it down today. For our listeners, if you are thinking of starting your HR tech journey or feel you are stuck halfway, this episode is your compass.
So I would say start with the why. Business alignment. That comes first, nothing else. See, your HR tech strategy has to be aligned to your business strategy. It sounds obvious, right? But as they say, common sense is not common these days. And unfortunately, you cannot buy brains on Amazon or Flipkart. You got to use those and churn your brain cells. So, a bigger problem that I've seen in most of the organizations is HR leaders trying to build a technology roadmap in isolation. And that becomes a very, very big problem.
Right. So, what's the first question HR should ask?
In the projects that I have led as a lead for digital transformation, or I have consulted my clients on, my advice to them always is what business outcomes are you trying to achieve? What is it? Can you nail it down? And outcomes are not wish lists. Right. All right. So if I'm saying, oh, we'll make it a great place to work. I'm sorry, that's a wish list. You need to have tangible outcomes. that you want to achieve within a specified period of time or a range of time. What is not measured is not delivered. So they have to be measurable. If it's not in that sense, then it's a problem. So are you trying to reduce attrition? Are you trying to accelerate your leadership pipeline? Are you trying to become more process efficient? Are you trying to implement a hyper personalized and hyper contextualized learning journey for people? So you become a learning organization, then you need to have the outcomes of a learning organization taken out. If you're trying to look at from a cost sustainability standpoint, then you need to figure out and touch upon those respective outcomes. Why are you doing these? Why do you want to deploy, or why do you want to go for HR technology, or for that matter of fact, HR digital transformation? Your HR tech decisions have to link to these outcomes. You start with that in mind. If you don't have that clarity in your head, I'm sorry, you're wasting everybody's time.
So, are you saying the strategy starts before tech even enters the room?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Technology is an enabler. Strategy is your vision. That's your North Star. If you, so it's like, let me ask you a question, Gurpreet. We are sitting at point A. Let's say in Mumbai, we are sitting at Kolaba, and we want to go to Ad Labs Imagica. All right. Now, unless you know that you have to go to Ad Labs Imagica, you will not be able to figure out what mode of transport is more suitable. Would you want to go there in a ferry? Would you want to drive down? Would you want to take a train? Or for that matter of fact, if you got a lot of moolah on your table, perhaps it's a helicopter ride. So unless you know your destination, you can't walk that path.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. So that was an excellent example. And now, once the why part is clear, what's next?
Okay. See, once you have defined why you're doing this, you have charted out what your outcomes are, then comes a look in the mirror. And you will ask me, what does that mean? See, a look in the mirror talks about your self assessment with respect to your ecosystem, your HR ecosystem. And if you'll recall, in the first episode, I mentioned something called as a PPT framework: people, process, technology.
Right.
So, number one, what is the maturity canvas of your people in terms of their digital readiness? What is their openness to change? What are the key pain points people face in today's time when it comes to your HR ecosystem? Then comes the second element, which is process. Which processes are manual? Which ones are automated? Which ones are semi-manual, and which ones are semi-automated? Please understand there's a difference between semi-manual, semi-automated, right? Which ones are inefficient? You would need to do a non-value add analysis, NVA for them. And in these processes, solicit feedback again from the people. All right. Then comes the third element, which is technology. In your HR ecosystem, how many tools, how many technologies are currently in execution? Are they integrated? Are they scalable? So for example, I think I spoke about this in our last episode as well. Many organizations today, as part of their hiring process, conduct some kind of a psychometric assessment, whether it's a Conferry or a Hogan or a SHL or a DISC. Now, that assessment has plethora of data about a candidate, right? Let's say I'm that candidate and I have joined your organization. And my onboarding happens, I'm oriented, I start working. After there are checkpoints for me, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever, right? After a year, I get evaluated on my performance and I'm given feedback on how I should improve my performance or perhaps lead my team better on both behavioral and functional areas. The question is, what happened to that assessment I gave that already had my strengths and my development areas. Is that getting fed somewhere in my learning plan? So, is your hiring system speaking to your talent system, your learning system? In reality, in most organizations, these are not talking. They are siloized, and that becomes a very big uh, challenge when people go for just rolling out systems. And you end up into a problem I called mass is the enemy of scale. You know, when you look at the HR parlance, I could easily on my fingers count 16 different areas for which I could have technology. I can have technology for talent attraction, talent employer branding, talent onboarding, talent orientation, compensation benefits, learning paths, talent paths, social learning, virtual classrooms, content creation, compliance, health, safety, well being, diversity, equity, workforce planning, and I can keep going on and on. Now imagine you have plethora of these systems, and each one of them speaks a different language. So one speaks Greek, other speaks Latin, the third one speaks Luxembourgish, the fourth one speaks Portuguese, the fifth one speaks Marathi, sixth one speaks English. Now, what I mean by that is each of these systems have very different data structures, very different relational schemas. They don't talk to each other. So, what you have done, you have created an army of elephants in your house, and you can't do anything about it. It creates disparate architectures, inefficient infrastructures instead of processes, technology mapping to processes. You start re-engineering your processes according to these technologies to befit them, and who suffers? The poor employee, his experience. So mass is the enemy of scale. It is very important to do a check in terms of what tools technologies are currently using. Are they integrated? Are they scalable? And then what you do is marry these three. You have people, process, technology. So you need to deploy. Typically, I would always advise people to use design thinking to figure out at this stage what people's pain points are, what they really want, right? And then go ahead with that. So this is almost like a digital health check for HR. True, it is a digital health check for HR, but it's also about culture. If your culture resists experimentation, there is no tech that can actually succeed. That is why it is people, process, technology. So people readiness and people capability, process re-engineering and process maturity canvas, and your technology tools, scalability and integration. It works in that space. Okay. So now we know where we are, we know where we want to go. How do we bridge the two? That's a $1 billion question. So this is where your human resource digital solution blueprint comes into place. So I mentioned this word earlier. Think of it as your North Star. Okay. What it includes, your prioritized outcomes and goals. Remember the why part? Right. What were your goals? So if my goal is that I need to digitize employee onboarding by Q3, I need to enable data-led decisions by business by Q6. I need to ensure that there is hyper personalization and hyper contextualization of learning, and there's individualized learning path for every single employee by the end of the year. That needs to be there. I need to say, okay, I will have a talent marketplace that will promote internal mobility by Q7. So what are my prioritized goals? Outcomes. That's the first step. Second is what's going to be your tech stack roadmap. Okay. So, see, this is a very critical and most important area. This is where people often go wrong. So, when you have your goals, right, your goals also need to factor in the mirror which you just saw, right? So, you can't say, I have barren land today, and in 6 months' time, I'll have 100% afforestation. I'm sorry. Let's not dream. I mean, dreaming is good, but let's not be obnoxiously stupid. Let's be a realist. Reality lies somewhere between idealism and pragmatism. Let's keep that in mind. So once you've seen the mirror in terms of your process, your people readiness, and your tech capability, and what your outcomes are, your outcomes need to be first characterized and orchestrated, keeping that mirror in mind.
Absolutely.
Once that mirror is there, then you need to figure out the most important yet the biggest issue in HR digital transformation. That in your roadmap, nothing, and I'll say it a billion times, nothing needs to operate in a silo. Things have to be integrated. So, number one, prioritize goals, faces your mirror. Right. Number two, tech stack roadmap, following your prioritized goals, but ensuring nothing works in silo, everything works in an integrated manner. Third, governance and matrix, which talks about your KPIs, right, your owners, your review cycles. Very important because if something is not measured, it is not delivered.
Right. Very nicely explained. So, what's the ideal rollout approach? Should it be big bang or it should be in a phased manner?
Well, I always love the word big bang, but you know, reality tells us it always has to be phased. Start with a pilot, which is MVP, minimum viable product. Involve people, people who have to use it. Right. Do design thinking, affinity diagramming. There are 25, 30 different tools you can use in that process. Let them partner in the creation of your journeys. Then look at how would you reorchestrate your processes. Implement a small thing, learn, adapt, and then scale. So, in simple words, it's not about being following the waterfall approach, but being more agile. See, tech success is not about speed and velocity. Right. It's about adoption. Yeah. And for that, you need to give it time. And that's how it works.
Great. I know you're big on stakeholder engagement, actually. What's your take on that in digital strategy?
Well, I failed a million times and then learned this the hard way that your stakeholders can make or break your strategy. So, and you talk about stakeholders, many people confuse as stakeholders only as business leaders or people who are at a leadership level in the organization, or for that matter of fact, who have certain decision-making prowess. And you bust that myth. Every single individual who is going to be the user of your technology,
the end customer,
is your stakeholder. Now, there are multiple categorizations in that. You definitely need to have your business leaders for strategic buy-ins to say that how your HR tech, what you're doing, links to their business matrix and helps the business grow. Right. So you can't talk the HR language, it has to link to your business matrix. Your line managers and day-to-day users, end users, end customers, they are going to be part and parcel of your design thinking, your MVP. They are the ones who define its success and failure, not you and me. Right? And most importantly, it's your tech team. They are your co-pilots,
Right.
right? So imagine flying a Boeing 380 solo, and that too for 18 hours at a stretch. I'm sure you're bound to go for disaster. So I would say use design thinking workshops. There are 30, 40 more tools. I'll be more than happy to share those in the comments, or if people need help on that. Conduct internal focus groups, co-create journeys, and make it collaborative. Make it co-created. Right. Let it not be something that the HR created and dumped on people. It never works.
Great. So I've seen you use journey maps and personas, even in compliance heavy industries.
Yeah.
That makes it human, right?
Oh, that's a tough one to answer. I'll try and attempt it. I'm reminded of a very famous adage. Uh, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. So you need to add a spanner, a wrench, and many more tools in your arsenal if you have to be successful. See, let's understand two things. We are living in the experience era, right? It's not about processes. It's not about technology. It's all about experience. Just think about it. When you step outside the realm of the organization, how do you interact with your environment? You want to communicate with somebody, you simply pick up WhatsApp, and within fractions of a second, the message reaches over there across the world, right? Right. Uh, you want to make payments, you use UPI apps, net banking. You want to watch something interesting, go to Netflix or Amazon Prime. You want to go somewhere, no need to wait for anybody, just use a ride hailing cab, whether it's a Grab or a Uber or a Ola or whatever, right? Now come back to the organization and ask yourself this question and keep your hand on heart and then answer this. Do you get similar experience in your organization when it comes to your journey? And this journey starts from the time you are a potential candidate till the time you become an alum of the organization. 99% times, no. Why? Because somebody did not take the effort or pains to map journeys. Number one. See, tech is binary. People aren't, right? Right. If your digitalization or digital transformation is not empathetic, it will fail. No matter how much of agentic AI or generative AI you use, it's going to be a flop. Yeah. Let's agree on the fact, we have seen the best of best blockbusters, which had, Grammy winners, Emmy winners, and everybody, for that matter of fact, Oscar winners performing. Stalwarts, and those movies have bombed. See, you have to relate. You can't say, okay, it's tech, 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 tech. Sorry. If it's high tech, it has to be high touch. And the high touch has to have a little bit more percentage in my dictionary when it comes to that. So when you talk about compliance heavy industries, eventually you're dealing with people. Right. You can digitize a process, but the user is still human. So you have to ensure that the human touch is always there, and journey mapping becomes your most important. Your journeys define your processes and not the other way down. And journeys are all about experience. Think of that stat. So if you look at it, you have your why. Right. Why do you want to do it? What are your journeys? Experience journey. What's your experience going to look like? Then in that, you do your as is, people, process, technology, mirror, prioritize goals, integration, no silos, involve people, be human, Pilot, test, learn, fail, adapt, re-execute, and then scale. Always involve people. You don't do that, I'm sorry, you missed the bus even before you started from home. Yeah.
You've summarized it quite very well. Now let's talk about measurement. How do you know if your strategy is working?
See, the proof of the pudding is in the pudding itself, right? So it's all about your adoption rates, number one. It's about your user satisfaction scores. It's about your cost and talent sustainability. It's about your time savings. It's about business impact. So whatever your goals, which you had set, remember why, whether it was reduced attrition, faster hiring, you know, personalized journey maps, or you perhaps wanted to do modular workforce planning, or you wanted to have talent marketplace and X percentage mobility or build and buy ratios, whatever you had your as your tangibles, right? Are they being done? What and the most significant factor is your user adoption, your user satisfaction rate. And then iterate. See, let's understand we are staying in times where novelties of morning become obsolete by the evening. Businesses are daily impinged by these tsunamis or revolutions, specifically tech ones. So you can't say, I made a strategy, implemented it, and I'm good for life. Sorry. A future ready strategy is never done. You keep evolving with the business, you keep evolving with the maturity canvas of the industry, of the country, of the region, and the world. That's where we are.
Those are very good insights. Quick recap before we wrap this session. To build a future ready HR digitization strategy, number one, start with the business goals. Number two, run a deep HR ecosystem diagnosis. Three, create a phased integrated roadmap. Number four, engage stakeholders early and often. Number five, measure, learn, and evolve.
And to add my 2 cents to that, never forget it's never about technology and tools, it's all about transformation. It's all about people.
So, listeners, what stage is your organization at? Visioning, diagnosis, pilot, or scaling? Tell us in the comment section or DM us on LinkedIn.
And if you're wondering where to start, just ask yourself, what do you want your HR to look like 12 months from now? Better still, wear the hat of an employee and map your own experience, define it. What kind of experience do you want? If you had the autonomy to define it, what do you want? Start there, the tech will follow. And you need help? Just reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to have a conversation and help you.
That's a wrap on episode number 2 of HR Tech Unplugged. If you found value in today's conversation, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Visit www.ascendara.org for expert consulting on HR digitization and more. Let's shape the future of work together. Until the next time, stay digital, stay human. Thank you.
Thank you.